Hello and welcome to DIYRobotics.net. This is a demo of the IR remote control robot, the first in a series of mobile robotic projects for the DIYer. Before I go through the demo, I want to point out some of the features on the robot. First, let's take a look at the IR sensor, which is right here. Notice I raised it about 1.5 inches above the motor controller batteries so that I will always have a line of sight between the IR sensor and the IR remote. I use shrink wrap tubing to insulate the pins of the IR sensor. I did not heat the shrink wrap tubing, so if I later decide to reuse the IR sensor for another project, I can just slip off the IR sensor out of the tubing. Also notice that it's not necessary to glue the shrink wrap tubing together. It stands just fine without gluing the tubes. Finally, I color code the shrink wrap tubing to make it easier to wire the IR sensor. I use red for the positive pin, black for the negative pin, and blue for the signal pin. Okay, moving on. I use a small zip tie to bundle the wires coming from the LEDs. Right here. I like to keep my wiring neat. It makes it easier to trace the wires and less likely I will accidentally pull off a wire off the breadboard or off a component. Over here I used a button switch for my on-off switch for the motor controller just because I had one laying around. A slide switch or a breakout button switch will work just as well. The last thing I wanted to show you is the shrink wrap tubing on the side of the motor controller, which we have right here. I feed the wires through the shrink wrap tubing before plugging the wires into the motor controller. I then glued the shrink wrap tubing on with a hot glue gun. As with the zip tie, it keeps the wiring neat and prevents the wires from falling into the rear wheel. One more thing. Here's the remote I use for the demo. If I can get it in focus. I use the up arrow to move the robot forward, the down arrow to move the robot backwards, the left arrow to move the robot to the left, the right arrow to move the robot to the right. I use the menu button to stop the robot and the red power button to turn the headlights on and off. Well, that's all I wanted to show you, so let's move on to the demo. I already powered on the Arduino and the motor controller, so we're good to go. First, I'll press the up arrow to move the robot forward. Then I'll press the menu button to stop the robot. Now I'll press the down button to move the robot backwards. And I'll stop it again. Now I'll turn the robot to the left. Notice that it keeps spinning to the left and it'll continue spinning to the left until I hit another key. So what I'll do is hit the menu button again to stop the robot. Since I got it kind of facing forward, what I'll do is power on the headlights, so I'll use the red power button to do that. Now we have our headlights on. Okay, let's spin the robot to the right by pressing the right arrow key. Okay, now we're spinning to the right. And I'll continue spinning until I hit a button, so I'll hit the menu button to stop it. We have one thing left, and that's to turn the lights off, so I'll press the power button to turn the headlights off. Maybe. There we go. And that's it for the IR remote control robot demo. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and for more robotic projects visit the DIYrobotics.net website. Thanks for watching my video.